Hello, hi, a very happy good evening. So this is Krishna Ma'am and we'll be talking about the study of life on earth, and that's biology. So we are in our final round of revision series. So we have been discussing all the chapters of the first unit. So then we played a very great Menti also, and and for the last 4 days I guess you were a little quiet and dormant because you didn't have any session. So don't worry, I am back. So we'll continue with our revision. So as promised, every Saturday you will have Menti quiz. This Saturday you will not have because this entire week I haven't taught you any chapter. So tomorrow also we'll continue with the chapter only, not the Menti, for your kind information. So today we will revise morphology of flowering plants. So tomorrow I will do anatomy of flowering plants. So though this chapter is very huge, our ultimate aim is to revise it as quick as possible. So here I'm not here to read each and every single line, right? So we are just going to skim through. फोन में भी लाइव हो गया. नोटिफिकेशन तो आया. रुको. हाँ. So we'll continue with morphology. So we'll finish it off as quick as possible. I will just remind you of all the topics that you have in morphology. So let's do it very quickly. All right. So I know I am quite late today. So I guess I am almost 20 minutes late. So please forgive me for the technical glitch, and I'm really sorry. Yes, ma'am. A very happy good evening. Thank you so much for joining. Harini Shankar. Yes, a very happy good evening. Thank you so much, guys, for joining my session. Though I'm pretty late. So I'm sorry. So we are also here since 5:25 trying to start the session, and there has been a technical glitch. I'm really sorry. I apologize for the inconvenience that has been created. Yes, a very happy good evening. So I hope all of you are doing well and your preparation is going on in full swing. Yes. So let's quickly finish off your morphology. So let me quickly skim through the topics that you have in morphology. Okay. Yes. So if you remember, this morphology is one of your enemies, right? Yes, because it has a lot of examples and it's a very huge chapter which you cannot finish in one go, which you cannot remember, right? So you have the root, stem, leaf, inflorescence, flower, fruit, seed, the description, and then the families. So you should remember a plant is divided into two parts. One is vegetative part, one is the reproductive part. The vegetative part is the root, stem, and leaf, and the reproductive part is the flower. So first of all, we'll be talking about the vegetative part and then the reproductive part. So that is how this entire chapter is divided into, right? So I am moving forward. So when you talk about root, so you should know about the three different types of root: taproot, fibrous root, adventitious root. So which type of plant has these type of root? What is their example and where do they arise from? For example, when I say taproot, they arise from the radicle, right? So you have a main stem and then you have the primary and the secondary branches coming out. So taproot is seen in your dicot system. So fibrous root, so actually when your taproot has been replaced by a bunch of roots, where your taproots are short-lived and these bunch of roots arise from the base of your stem, that is your fibrous roots, right? So fibrous roots are pretty common in the monocots. Then you have the adventitious roots. So when the root arises from part other than the radicle, it is your adventitious root. Example, your grass, banyan tree, etc. Fine. So we move forward. Right. So these are the three figures. So I am moving. So we have the regions of the root. So you are supposed to talk about the structure of the root. So you have the root cap. This is the apex, the tip of the root, this is your root cap. Then you have the meristematic region where the cells are very fastly dividing, right? So then the region of elongation where the cytoplasm elongates, and then you have the region of maturation where it takes up a final line of function, and in the region of maturation you have root hairs, and root hairs are unicellular, right? Understood? So this is about the structure of your root. So the next part is the modification of your root. So apart from observing water, your root also has a plethora of functions, like it can be used in the modification, it can be used in the storage of food, right? Fusiform, conical, napiform, tuberous, they're all storage modification. So your fusiform is your radish, conical carrot, napiform your turnip, and tuberous is your mirabilis. Yes, 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 the examples are important. If that is your mind voice, ma'am, should be remembered. Yes, you definitely have to remember. If you cannot remember this ounce of examples, then the pounds volumes of your medical book is going to be really tough. Okay, so these are your storage modifications. So I have the pictures. Apart from that, your root is also modified to perform the function of nitrogen fixation, that is your nodulated root. Leguminous plants, right, respiratory roots. In case of your mangroves, they are called as your nematophores, right? Yeah, so you should remember them. So adventitious roots, the ones that you see in your sugarcane, in your banyan tree. So in case of your bryophyllum, so these are the different types of adventitious root modification where the root arises a region apart from the radicle, right? So with this we are done with the root. So based on the modifications you can give the functions of the root. So this is nothing extra. So talking about the stem is also used in various other modification. So when you were a child, if I ask you what is a stem, you will tell me stem acts as a support structure, right? Well, stem has a lot of other functions apart from supporting the plant. Okay, yes, namaste. Thank you so much for joining my session. So pardon G, hello, yes, namaste. So thank you so much for joining my session today. So please do like, share and subscribe. Right, so they also act as organs of perennation to tide over unfavorable condition. So for example, say for example, I planned a trip to the Himalayas, and in the Himalayas, so I trekked to the Himalayas, but I couldn't reach my destination. I get stuck in between because of the heavy snowy condition. So what would I do? I would just sit in my base camp and pass time, right? So similarly, when the conditions are unfavorable for the plant, so they reproduce through the vegetative means, that is, they reproduce through the stem. So what are the modifications of stem? Tuber, rhizome, right? So tuber, you know, it's a potato, it's a stem modification. Ginger and turmeric, you know. Apart from that, you have comb and bulb. So these are also different modifications of the stem, right? Apart from that, you have subaerial modification. So aerial is above the ground, subaerial is partially above the ground, right? So you have a runner, it runs along this length of the soil and then it gives rise to new plant. This is runner. Next one is you have stolon. It grows aerially above the soil and then it moves into the soil and forms a new plant, right? Yes. The next one is your sucker. So sucker and your stolon are vice versa. So in your stolon, what happens? It grows above. Here it goes below. So that is the difference, and acornia is a bunch that is present. Again, examples are very, very important. There are certain special modifications of stem which again you have to remember, like your tendrils, the small coil structures which you can see in the gourds, right, in the grapes, thorns as you can see in obtunia and cactus, phyloclad. So there are two things that students usually get confused. What is a phyllodes and what is a phyloclad? So phyloclad, so phyllo is leaf, okay. So phyllodes is leaf modification, phyloclad is a stem modification into a leaf. When a stem functions as a leaf, it is your phyloclad. Alright, yes, done? Okay, so probably we are done with the stem. So creepers, you know. So yeah, talking about the leaf, so the leaf has structures. So you have three structures of the leaf blade, then you have the small thing that is the petiole, then you have the leaf base, right? So the leaf is attached to the stem by the leaf base, and at the base you can have small stipules. When these stipules are swollen, it is pulvinous, and when it is a sheath-like structure, it is in case of your monocots, right? So these are some of the things that you have to remember. So types of leaves, you have two types of leaves, the simple and the compound leaf. So this main axis is not disturbed in a simple leaf, whereas it is disturbed in a compound leaf. There are two types of compound leaves, pinnately compound and palmately compound. So palmately compound is understood, it is in the shape of your palm, right? So what is pinnately compound leaf? So you have one common axis, right? So this common axis is called as the rachis. Fine. So this you should remember. So what is phyllotaxy? Anything that starts with phyllo is leaf, okay? So taxy is taxonomy, that is classification, which we have read in living world. So phyllotaxy is the arrangement of leaves on the stem, right? So the place on the stem from where the leaf arises is called as a node. The subsequent distance between two nodes is called as an internode, right? Okay, so now you can see I have one leaf here, the other leaf here. So this is alternate phyllotaxy, so China rose, mustard and sunflower, right? So the next one is opposite, so if it's exactly opposite to each other. So this can have two types, one is dissecate, one is superimposed. So one and the other is at 90 degrees to each other, meaning they're opposite, but in the pattern of 90 degree it is dissecate, and when it is just opposite to one another it is superimposed. Once again I make it a point, examples are very important. The last type of phyllotaxy is whorled. When more than two leaves arises from a node, it is whorled. So you have modifications of leaf, like leaves can also be modified into tendrils, spines, picture in case of your Venus flytrap, fleshy leaves and phyllodes. So this is a leaf modification where a leaf is modified into a stem. So this is about the vegetative part of your plant, right? So now we move into the reproductive part of your plant. So the reproductive part of your plant is going to talk about the flower. Hi Priyadarshini, yes, a very happy good evening. Thank you so much for joining my session. So please do like, share and subscribe, right? So we move forward. So we have inflorescence. So how a flower is arranged on the stem is your inflorescence. So we have two types of inflorescence. One you can see is the racemose, the other is cymose. So in racemose, the tip of the center of the plant, that is the apex of the plant, continues to grow. The flowers are in the sides. In cymose inflorescence, the flower is at the stem, that is the main axis terminates to form a flower. So that is your cymose inflorescence. So racemose radish and cymose is your jasmine, right? So moving forward, so when you talk about a particular flower, there are certain terms that you have to know. So in a flower there are four whorls, right? So calyx, corolla, androecium and gynoecium. So when the calyx and corolla, that is your sepals and petals, are fused together, it is a perianth condition, and that is visible in your lily, right? So when both the sexes are there, that is androecium and gynoecium, it is a bisexual flower. When a flower has all the four whorls, it is a complete flower. Your androecium, gynoecium being the essential whorl, your calyx and corolla being the non-accessory or the accessory or the non-essential whorl, right? So all complete flowers are bisexual flowers, and all bisexual flowers need not be complete flowers. So I hope it makes sense now, right? So this you have to go through. This is very important. So sometimes they can ask the simplest of things. So just like we spoke about the symmetry in case of animals, how they have radial symmetry, bilateral symmetry, how sponges are asymmetric, even flowers can have symmetry, but they have a slightly different name. So we already know what is radial. So radial is going to give me two equal halves, right and left halves, right? So this radial symmetry is also known as actinomorphic symmetry. So remember A.R. Rahman. So A actinomorphic, that is also known as radial symmetry, right? The next one is bilateral symmetry, bilateral, so right and left equal halves, right? So for example, when you divide my face, the right and the left half actually complements each other. So I am getting equal right and left half, that is bilateral symmetry. So this also has another name, that is zygomorphic symmetry, right? And the last one is asymmetry, so it cannot, a plane of division cannot divide into any equal parts, right? So this is also equally important. So you can see the images, right? So I am moving forward. So based on the position of the whorls, the ovary can be inferior or superior, right? So there are three things: hypogynous, perigynous and epigynous. So it is understood hypogynous, so where your gynoecium is in the topmost position. So can you see the gynoecium occupies the highest position? So here your ovary is superior, right? So this is with respect to the position of the gynoecium. The second one is perigynous. So peri, remember perimeter. So everything is almost on the same level, right? So that is your perigynous. So here the ovary is half inferior, okay? The last one is epigynous. So epigynous is when the gynoecium is in the least position. So here the gynoecium is inferior, right? So next is aestivation. So you have aestivation is a very important concept, right? When you will finish class 11 bio, one shot revision, ma'am. So we are already in morphology, so except Sundays you count, we'll be done, okay? So don't worry, I'll finish it before 15th of not 15, so how many chapters we are left? So not much, right? So first unit is already done, so tomorrow we are doing anatomy. So if you calculate according to the day wise, you will know. Okay, Priyadarshini, I haven't sorted out, but I will do it, okay? Right. So arrangement of calyx and corolla with respect to the other whorls is aestivation. So there are 5 types of aestivation. So how do you remember the aestivation? Very, very important topic for exam. So 1V stands for valvate, this stands for vexillary, imbricate and twisted. These are the 4 types. So in valvate aestivation, all the whorls just touch each other. There is no overlapping, okay? So in case of vexillary, there is one huge petal, then you have a pair of side petals that is called as wing, and then you have the keel. So this is how it is present. This is your vexillary aestivation. In case of your twisted, so one petal is like this, the other petal is like this. So this side of the petal is on the inner side. So this side, it should be on the outer side. So when it follows a particular pattern like this, so this is twisted aestivation. So when it does not follow any pattern at all, so this is your imbricate, right? So again here you have to remember enough examples. So talking about the condition of your stamen, so when your stamen is free, the condition is polyandrous. So it can be in one bundle, that is monoadelphous, diadelphous or polyadelphous, right? So placentation, so we have 6 types as the name says. So arrangement of ovules within the ovary, so I guess you know the structure very well, right? So this is your ovary, and inside the ovary you have this space. So this space is the locule. So inside the locule you have a flat structure, that is placenta, and to this placenta you have the ovules attached. Right? So how it is attached? We have 6 types. When it is attached towards the margin, it is marginal. Understood? So when it is attached along the axis, it is axial. When it is towards the periphery, that is the perimeter, so this perimeter, it is parietal. When it is basal, it is towards the end, it is basal. Right? Central, so central can be exactly in the center, right? When it is free central, it is hanging in the center, it is not suspended, right? So there are no divisions there. So these are the different types of placentation. Aestivation, placentation are two important concepts. So talking about the fruit, so how the fruit forms, what are the layers of the fruit? So you have the epicarp, mesocarp and the endocarp, right? So moving further, the dicot seed, right? So you have a micropyle and the hilum, etc. The monocot seed, where you have the scutellum, the cleoptile, chlorisae, the endosperm, right? So then you have what is called as a floral formula. So far clear? Any doubts that I have to explain once again? Yes? Quick! No? Okay. So why do we write a floral formula? For example, when I have to teach you a very tough concept, so after I teach you the tough concept, I give you the formula in easy way, right? So I give you the trick to remember why it is easy, right? So similarly, you write a formula so that it is easy for a person or a reader to capture it, okay? So that is the reason, alright? For example, in newspaper, more than we read the headline and the content, we only look into the pictures, right? So when you look into the pictures, you're able to understand, right? So it's a simpler version of understanding something. So that is the reason we write a floral formula and a floral diagram when you have to understand it quickly, right? So if I want to know which type of aestivation, which type of placentation, what is the position of the ovary, yes, it is possible to signify it in the form of formula or in the floral diagram. So this is your first family, that is your Fabaceae family or your Leguminosae family, right? So here if you look, this is your floral diagram, this is your floral formula. So this says it is zygomorphic symmetry, that is your bilateral symmetry. It has both male and female sexes, so it is bisexual. So K stands for calyx and you have 5, calyx is your sepals. You have 5 sepals and since it is within bracket, the sepals are fused. C is your corolla, that is your petals. You have 1, 2 plus 2, it is vexillary aestivation. You have 1 standard, 2 wings and 2 keel, right? A stands for andrecium. You have 9 plus 1 stamen and the 9 is fused together, that is why it is within brackets, it is non-adelphous condition. And last one, G represents gynoecium, in the bracket 1 represents carpel. Sorry, there is no bracket, and if the G is underlined, the G is in the superior position, so it is hypogynous condition. So all these details are visible with respect to the diagram alone, right? So apart from reading the floral formula, etc., you should also read the economic importance of the plants. That is very important. So this tabular column, please make a note, this is very important. So they might ask you what are the sources of edible oil from the family Leguminosae. So coming to the next family, so you have only 3 families: Leguminosae, Solanaceae, Liliaceae. The first family, G, will have 1. The second family, G, will have 2 carpels, and the third family, the G, will have 3 carpels. So this is your radial symmetry, that is actinomorphic symmetry. Bisexual, you have 5 calyx which are fused, so it is gamosepalous. Then C is corolla, you have 5, again it is fused. Andrecium is 5. So if you can see, the petals and the andrecium are connected, so this condition is your epipetalis condition. When the petals and the stamens are connected. So this is my petal and this is my stamen, right? Can you see it is connected, right? So G is superior and there are 2 carpels and the 2 carpels are fused together. So once again, the economic importance, the last thing, that is your Liliaceae. Actinomorphic symmetry, bisexual. P, here I do not have calyx, I have perianth. In lily, the calyx and corolla are very joined together. They are not very distinct. So it is perianth condition, 3 plus 3. So they are fused together in that form. So they are connected with the stamens. When the perianth is connected with the stamens, it is epiphylous condition. And the gynoecium is superior and you have 3 carpels, and once again the economic importance. So this is how you quickly revise a chapter. though I started off late and though it was a very huge chapter, this is how you recollect the chapter. Last minute revision does not mean you sit down and turn page by page and do the revision. So by now you should have done at least 2 rounds of revision if you're very serious and if you want to get or hit on a very beautiful rank. Right? So this is how you will do the last minute revision. Say for example, you're just 1 week away from your NEET exam, and when you want to recollect 11th bio, this is how you do. Hardly 15 minutes you'll take for each chapter, only then you'll be able to finish all the 35 chapters, otherwise you're gone and dead. Right? So make sure you have proper time management and you prepare properly. Right? So floral formula, so all the 3 floral formulas are tabulated. So this is how you remember 1, 2, 3. Epiphyllus is here, epipetalis is here, and vexillary is here. So only 3 formulas you have to remember, right? So with this we are done with revising morphology of flowering plants. So tomorrow at 5:30 I'll be here to talk about the anatomy of flowering plants. All right, so thank you so much for joining my lecture today. So please do like, share and subscribe. So this is me signing off, and I'll meet you tomorrow at 5:30. So until then, stay tuned. Thank you.